What's going on, everyone? My name's Eric, and today on the channel we're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive on this guitar here. This is the Ibanez Iron Label 7-string Iceman guitar here. This is pretty sweet guitar. I love how it is all blacked out, and you know, given this is an Iron Label series, this is kind of like a midpoint, mid-priced instrument. This guitar comes with a good amount of like premium features. You know, it has some locking tuners. We got some really good DiMarzio pickups in here, and just putting my hands up and down the fingerboard here, there's no sharp fret edges at all, and honestly, that is really nice because I know a lot of these earlier Ibanez Iron Label guitars had a bit of issues when they first came from the factory. So that's a pretty nice upgrade from where this line used to be. And even though this guitar comes really well equipped from the factory, the point of today's video is that we're actually going to be modifying this guitar, which might seem a little redundant. What we're going to be doing is taking these two DiMarzio deactivator pickups out of this guitar, and then we're going to be installing some Seymour Duncan Nazgul and Sentient pickups for the bridge and neck respectively. But the thing is, I'm just kind of wondering is like, should we even do this or not? Like, because this guitar has some really killer pickups in it, and like, well, why should we have to change them to something else? So what we're going to do is I'm going to take these pickups out, put the new ones in. I'm going to walk you through how you do that and everything, and then we're going to hear later on in this video how both of these pickups, the deactivators versus the Nazgul and Sentient, sound back to back with a bunch of isolated guitar sounds. So with all that being said, let's throw this guitar on the bench, let's get the new pickups in, and let's see if I am making a big mistake or not. Alright, and here is the guitar on the workbench here, and as always, I got the Music Nomad Premium Instrument Work Mat here. This is just going to keep the guitar from sliding around. This guitar is going nowhere. If you want to grab one for yourself, there's a link below. I really like this. It's really made my time of working on guitars much easier on my dining room table here. First thing that we want to do before we even get to swapping these pickups, we got to do in traditional metal fashion, we got to get rid of the tone knob. So we're going to disconnect this from the circuit, and then we're going to move the volume knob all the way back here. And then we're going to plug this hole, and I'm going to show you how you can do all of that. Alright, so as you can see here, the tone knob kind of came off very easy, but now the volume pot is actually kind of stuck on there. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to throw a microfiber cloth over the volume knob right there. Then I'm going to take some pliers and grab the actual cloth that is covering the pot, work it back and forth. And why you have the cloth on this is just so you don't damage the actual like knob that is on the potentiometer, and I think it just came off. There we go. And here are the electronics in the Ibanez guitar here. This back one is the tone pot right here, and this green wire has two wires in it. It has a bare wire and a white wire. That is connecting to the volume pot, which then connects the tone into the circuit here. So what we're going to do is simply just cut it out of the circuit. You don't need to unsolder it. Different guitars and different wiring, different story. But for this one, we're just going to cut it. I got these little snips here. I'm going to cut that bare wire, then the white wire. See you later. Keep that for later in case you need to add a tone circuit into another guitar. Alright, so now I'm trying to move the volume pot here, and unfortunately, there is not enough wire. So what we got to do is simply extend that wire. And I'm pretty sure the bridge grounding wire right here, this bare wire, that doesn't have enough lead for it to extend. So what we're going to do, we're just going to cut that wire right there. Then we're going to splice into it, and that's very easy to do. I'll show you how to do that in just a sec. Then we're going to move the volume pot back here, and then we're going to fill that existing volume pot hole with just a little cap. Here we go. Alright, so now we gotta plug this empty hole where the volume knob used to be. And there's a couple ways you can do that. And what you're gonna do is get these little plugs here. I'm pretty sure you can get these from like any sort of hardware store. I got these little tiny ones here, or you can get these bigger ones here. This one has a threaded end, and you can kind of lock it in a little bit better. But when you toss that bigger one in, it kind of stands out a little bit. So we're gonna use these tiny ones here. And this one kind of sits in pretty okay. But if you're in a situation where these plugs aren't sitting in here too well, what you can do is actually just add a little bit of wood glue to the sides, or flip the back of the guitar over with the plug in just like that, and then add a little bit of wood glue to the bottom side of this and just let it dry. Something else you could do, I'm going to take a little bit of electrical tape. You don't need much. Rip it off. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some snips or some scissors, whatever you got here. I'm going to cut right down the middle of that. Rip it in half, get it a little bit thinner, put that around the bottom of the plug. And what that is going to do, that's just going to hold that a little bit tighter into that cavity there. And there is the back side of the plug right there with a little bit of the tape folded over on itself. And that is not going to go anywhere. And that's basically how you plug an empty hole on your guitar. Well, this is awkward. Pretty well every one of the string ferrules outside of the 7th string one has fallen out of the guitar once I decided to go change the strings on it. So it's these little guys right here, and essentially the ball end of the string sits in the back here, and this is kind of a normal thing. Yeah, but that's not the most exciting thing to see. Like, I can pop that in pretty easy, and I can just literally pull out the ferrule. So we're gonna fix that. So what we're gonna do, a little bit of wood glue around the sides of the ferrules, and then just reinstall them, let them dry overnight, and I think we're gonna be good to go. If you run into this issue, make sure you don't use a lot of wood glue because you don't want any wood glue actually drying in the hole that the string has to actually go through. So that might cause a little bit of issues down the road, so just use a little bit, and then you are good to go. Now, something that I want to highlight is the fact that there's not a lot of room in that back toggle switch cavity there to wire the pickups out, or even just to disconnect the old pickups if you are going to change the pickups in this guitar per se. So what we've got to do is take this nut and washer off, and the nut and the washer, they're on there pretty good. And obviously you don't want to mess up your guitar finish, so what we have here is another tool from my good friends at Music Nomad. This is called the spanner wrench. Might be hard to see on camera, but there are ribbed edges along the inner sides of these little like inserts here, and that is to actually help when you are working with like washers and nuts. What you do, toss it on there, either tighten it or flip it around and loosen. And these teeth that are in this Music Nomad tool here, they just kind of grab that little edge that's on maybe like those lock washers and stuff like that, and those locking nuts. And another nice thing about this is that you can lay it flat on your instrument because it has this foam padding on the back here. Again, it's not going to mess up your guitar finish. Another really nice tool. So I will say, this made my life way easier instead of having to use a big old pair of pliers and potentially risk damaging the finish of this brand new guitar here. You can also use this to pop up some volume knobs off of potentiometers if they are stuck on there, so I will show that in another video as well. But yeah, this is a pretty cool tool and I like it, especially came in handy for this particular moment right here. I'm gonna throw a link down below so you can check out this in a little bit more detail and grab one if you so need. If you want to learn how to mount direct mounted pickups to a guitar, I got a full tutorial on that, which I will link to as well. Otherwise, what we're gonna do is hear this guitar with the brand new pickups compared to the original stock pickups. Once again, we got the brand new Seymour Duncan Nazgul and the Seymour Duncan Sentient in this guitar here compared to the stock DiMarzio Deactivator pickups. Here we go. Now for my thoughts and opinions on the two, I can kind of go either way, to be totally honest. I do like a lot of characteristics between both pickups. I like how in your face the DiMarzios are. I do like how articulate the Seymour Duncans are. I thought the clean tones from the Seymour Duncan pickups maybe had a little bit more clarity to them versus the DiMarzios, which maybe had a little bit more low end, and maybe the mid-range was focused in a different area. Same thing with the Seymour Duncans. It seemed like maybe the mid-range was focused in a different frequency spectrum on those pickups. And at the end of the day, you can't go wrong with either pickups in your guitar, but something that I did really find with both of these pickups and this whole video is that both of the pickups sounded very similar to each other, and in my opinion, that is very disappointing because in this case, like, I took some quality pickups out of a quality guitar, and I know this guitar retails for a little bit over $1,000 US right now, and it comes spec'd out pretty good, and it should be a great guitar right out of the box, which it is. It shouldn't need any other work outside of maybe a setup and your own string gauges, and that was the case for the Ibanez, and now I'm putting these pickups in for the owner of this guitar for some various reasons. But if this was my guitar that I saved up and then bought and then realized, oh, I want to change the pickups to something else, to then get this kind of result that it just kind of sounds a little similar and there's maybe a 10 or a 15% difference between the tone and the pickups, I would be pretty disheartened because I'm already modding a guitar that comes super well spec'd out from the factory and I'm just spending more money on it, and I just don't need to spend more money. Different story if the guitar did not come with some killer hardware and some killer pickups from it. So if you are going to be modding like maybe your first budget guitar with either some Seymour Duncans or DiMarzios, go ahead, pick either one. I think you're going to get a really great sound out of the guitar, especially if you're a beginner guitar or that really budget guitar didn't come with the greatest set of pickups. Then you're going to notice a big difference by upgrading those pickups. And what I want to drive home is that my thoughts that I just kind of shared on my results from the pickup demo is not a reflection of the quality of the pickups. Seymour Duncan, DiMarzio, and pretty well all the pickup manufacturers, they make great products. It's just really unfortunate that in this case, there was not a lot of tonal variations. And if you are considering that Ibanez Iron Label Iceman guitar, like, it's just so killer on its own. There was no real quality control issues. It has killer pickups from the factory. The only thing that I would do for myself is kind of what I showed you all in the video, is just deleting the tone knob, moving the volume knob back, and plugging that extra volume knob hole. There was no real negative quality control issues that were standing out to me. The fret edges felt great. The action was really good from the factory. And again, you got quality components, good locking tuners. The guitar is made very well, great pickups, and again, like, there's not a lot of negative to write home about on that guitar. The only two negative things about the guitar that I can think of is maybe the upper fret access. Like, I can comfortably get up to fret 22 on the guitar, but if I want to get up to fret 23, 24, I kind of have to position my hand in a little bit of an awkward way, which is, you know, it is what it is. I mean, you can kind of just riff on the guitar and have a great time as it is. But the other thing is that when you are playing this guitar live, I did find that when I had a strap on the guitar actually tended to kind of flip forward a little bit, and that was a little concerning, especially because this guitar does not have strap locks. And because the guitar did not have strap locks, I was kind of looking at the back of just that regular nylon strap that I threw on the guitar, and I was a little concerned that maybe the strap would kind of pop off of one of those strap buttons, and even though it looked like it was on there, you know, that's just something that I wouldn't want to have happen to me if I was playing this guitar live. So for sure, I would install some strap locks, but even then, it would be awesome if Ibanez threw on some strap locks on this guitar from the factory. But if you are looking to change the pickups on this guitar, I would say save your money and leave that for another project down the road. If you're in the scenario of trying to upgrade your budget guitar from the stock pickups to something a little bit more substantial, like the pickups that we compared today, I think you can't go wrong either way because both brands make really quality products at the end of the day. And that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments below, again, which pickup set you preferred, and even just your general thoughts and opinions on that Ibanez Iceman 7-string that we had in today's video. If you learned something new, let me know in the comments below as well. If you liked the video, make sure you leave a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I have tons more guitar-related content, especially with guitar mods, setup techniques, and as well as other guitar-related content. And if you really love what I do, make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video that I upload. All the applicable links are going to be down below for all the Music Nomad products and where you can learn a little bit more about these pickups and the guitar in today's video. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you next time.